Welcome to the Daily Thread podcast. I'm Mike D. This is going to be powered by the good people at According to Hip Hop. We got Tanisha, we got Ron here, and Daily Thread podcast is basically going to go through the whole week's happenings and everything that's happening in the culture and kind of giving it a little bit of a breakdown. We see on the According to Hip Hop post that people have very interesting things to say about what's going on in the world around them. So, we wanted to give people even more of a weekly platform to break those things down just a little bit more. Tanisha over here to my left, go ahead and, introduce yourself.
I'm Tanisha Bouchelion. I'm just ready to jump right in, excited to launch this podcast with Mike and Ron here, and just ready to jump right into it, really.
Hey, y'all using my government name. I'm RKY, aka Prime Minister, or Ron, or whatever y'all want to call me.
We got aliases.
We got aliases here, man. We're gonna try to blow this up big, man. It's
Okay.
showtime, baby.
RKY?
We can't be
Is that what it
You
is?
can call me Prime Minister of the Truth.
We'll pick one.
Whatever. I mean, we're gonna do whatever whatever y'all want to call me. But the goal of this is really, like as Mike said, Mike. I want Mike to talk the talk and talk about what he's done for According to Hip Hop, where we are as far as the numbers goes and the base goes and that platform. But from a collective standpoint for this podcast, I can speak for everyone here. Really, just to have conversations to kind of bring people together. Have information instead of affirmation. A lot of times in the podcast game, people just speaking to get their points across, which we're going to do as well. We really want to kind of bridge the gap and kind of have a communicative platform. That was a TI word. Communicate. Ain't even a word. Communicate.
Yeah, that's a word.
A communicative platform where we can have conversations that are real, substantive, and really just move the needle. So that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and we're gonna have guests on the show too. But we want to get everybody familiar with the three individuals that are going to be on this Daily Thread podcast, and just getting everyone's point of views. At some point we'll open up the phone lines for you guys too. But today we're going to cover a variety of subjects from the NCAA. The bill that's allowing players to actually capitalize and make money off of their likeness. Something that I feel like should have been in place for a long time.
Way overdue.
And, we'll talk about the new Kanye effort. Honestly, Kanye's interviews have kind of gotten a lot more buzz than the actual album itself, even though I do like the album. But we'll talk about those things too. But, let's set it off with the NCAA California bill. It started off as a California bill. And basically, players are allowed to, student athletes are allowed to profit from their likeness. They're allowed to actually get agents as well. But some people in Congress really aren't feeling this ideal. So, October 29th, we had Senator Richard Burr out of North Carolina. He tweeted, "If college athletes are going to make money off their likeness while in school, their scholarships should be treated like income. I'll be introducing legislation that subjects scholarships given to athletes who choose to cash in to income taxes."
I mean, that's interesting. I mean, I don't understand. I mean, we all went to school. I was at school. You went to school. We all went to school. And we always got them refund checks to Hope Scholarship. I got Hope Scholarship in Georgia. And it was never taxed. I don't know. I mean, at least I wasn't checking for it. I just got my checks and, went from school. I wasn't thinking about my scholarship being taxable. So I don't understand why this is being introduced here. I just don't. I'm a little confused by that. What you think about that, Tanisha?
I agree. None of our business ventures, none of the money that we made while at school, while using school supplies or anything ever came under question. And nor should it. And for any student, for that matter, a scholarship is earned through your academic and your performance in high school. And it's a gift toward that school. And it also benefits that school as well to have you there, which is why they guarantee you said scholarship and admission. So I do. I agree with you that it shouldn't come up what kind of money I'm making off of anything I do while I'm in school to choose whether to tax my scholarship or not. And then that brings up the question, who does all the other scholarships get taxed as well?
Well, he also went further once he got, drawback from everybody. He was like, it doesn't bother me that I didn't expect everybody to jump out and support me because it shows how ignorant everyone is of the issue. Most people don't know that there's no tax consequences for scholarships or what the value of scholarships are. Not even the athletes know the value of a scholarship. So it seems
What
like
does he mean by the value of a scholarship? Like how much they're getting? What is he
I mean,
saying?
I thought the value is we get tuition, room and board,
Right.
meals, it may be the travel to and from the athletic event. But I mean, I think he broke it down. I mean, there's a value. When you went to school on my with Georgia State, there was a portal that broke down every fee. The gym had a fee. Uh, the books had the fee. Everything was broken
it
down.
sounds vague, but it sounds like when he's talking about value, he's talking about the value of their education. It's almost kind of a jab. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
Well, they can they can in turn say, well, I got value as an athlete. I mean, I got some numbers. I did some digging yesterday because I was trying to find out, what exactly all this means, and really, it's not a lot of information. So they met in Atlanta. This group met in Atlanta maybe a week or two ago. The board of governors from the NCAA. They met in Atlanta and they said they need to have a decision by 2021. Now, all the research I did, it only pointed me to basketball, which I found was odd, right? So it said, uh, the amount of revenue that comes in from television and marketing rights for the Division One men's basketball championship is $844.3 million. $133.4 million comes from championship ticket sales, and on this site, they said that's the majority of their revenue. They didn't mention football, they didn't mention track and field. Maybe the SEC, the ACC, the Big 12, the Big 10 have different components where they capture the money. But I couldn't find anything. At least I didn't dig deep enough. They said $216.6 million of sports sponsorship and scholarship funds are allocated. They had a breakdown of how they give out the money, right? 164.7 Division One basketball performance fund. $84.5 million goes to student assistance fund. So out of the 844.3, 84.5 million of that actually is over $1 billion. Because you put the 844.3 plus the 133.4 in the ticket sales, 84.5 million just goes to student assistance.
And this is just basketball?
This is just basketball.
Wow.
And on the site, and we'll share the site in the description on when we put it on the podcast on the podcast.
Yeah,
when
we put it on and when we put it on YouTube, we'll put it in the
I'll send all the
yeah.
links in here. But I thought that was interesting. Only 84.5 million of the over almost $1 billion goes to student assistance.
I find it interesting either way that we're talking about taxing something that we've never taxed before, because now the students can make their money. And let's be honest, there's an undertone of who we're talking about. Every time we're talking about people making their money off their likeness, it was usually Black boys that came from underprivileged situations or were having to help do things in their families. So I do feel that it's interesting now that governors want to sit and have a meeting and come up with, within 1 year of today, basically, how they're going to tax some of that money. And the numbers, I mean, being hard to find. I mean, I would say viewers, if you guys have some numbers out there, you have some proof on what these numbers are or anything to add to this topic, definitely chime in, because there's something under the cover for this to be a big issue.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
And I was gonna say, I know me and Ron was speaking. Well, me and Prime was speaking. My bad. Yeah, me and Prime were speaking earlier about the people who've been punished. And how do these things retroactively affect people who are going through litigation right now or who have pending cases? Like, say some of the.
Well, there's several coaches right now, assistant coaches that are getting under consideration for some time, because they took $5,000 or $10,000 trying to broker deals between athletes and agents or financial advisors.
Get a little closer to
I guess they said that was against the law. Apparently it is, because they're facing some trouble. But now that these rules are changing, I don't know how that would affect their pending cases or old cases. But I did some digging as well, and there's been several cases of high profile athletes that have been gotten in trouble by the NCAA for really benign, I think, infractions. 2009, Des Bryant was suspended for lying to the NCAA because he worked out with Deion Sanders, another Prime time, the original Prime, and ate dinner at his house. 2010, Ohio State, Terrell Pryor and 4 of his teammates were suspended a half for signing memorabilia, but they did allow them to play in the Sugar Bowl, which is the biggest game of the season. The following year, the coach I think got fired or resigned because the heat was coming on him. And then Terrell Pryor, they found out he was getting tattoos, and they said that was an illegal benefit. So he decided he wasn't going to play the whole rest of the season. Entered the draft. NFL came in and he wasn't an NFL employee at the time, so suspended him for 5 games for the next season, and he was allowed to go in the supplemental draft. He wasn't even allowed to go into the regular draft.
That affected his money.
And the union, they said, look, how can you suspend somebody that hasn't even signed a contractual agreement with the NFL? Roger Goodell said that he felt Terrell Pryor was circumnavigating the rules of amateurism, and he needed to suspend him. So there's a lot of talk about how the NCAA and the NFL and NBA are in bed and making a profit off of the black student athlete. Let's just call it what it is. Really,
and then the question that brings up to me is, what are they so threatened for you to start making money or start getting the idea of making money off of your likeness? I mean, that is a direct reflection of what they know they're making and what maybe now won't funnel through them.
It's cutting money from somewhere else.
Right. So it's cutting money that they would be making, and that they know they've been making. They've been collecting since I can remember, and now it's going to be divided out to those players a little more evenly.
And you got to think that there's a level of control too that coaches and the establishment feels like that they may not have over a collegiate student that's making their own money now. Like, you can't kind of hang that carrot over their head like, I control your destiny. You're not going to be able to get a check until you finish doing what I say.
Yeah.
And we gotta really do some research on this. Because a lot of this stuff I don't know, and I need to get some numbers. Like, it was surprising to me that I couldn't find the football information. I want to figure out what's going on with there, because I know that football money. We took some about basketball.
I want to see those numbers.
The football numbers have to be crazy, but we also need to find out there's different rules for different sports. Because I know, I've heard that Kyler Murray, which is the number 1 pick in the NFL last year, had a baseball contract while he was still playing college football. And I know a lot of college football players had baseball contracts. They were drafted in the majors, and they had deals. So I think he got like a $9 million deal or a $4 million deal or something like that. We got to check the numbers on that. But how are some athletes allowed to make money while others aren't?
Well, I mean, and then that goes to what we were speaking about yesterday in the pre-show meeting or whatnot. Like, how do you differentiate if someone has a music scholarship and they're out, gigging on the side?
Right.
So you can't make money off of, your talents that
Arts,
got you the scholarship.
All kind of artists have to make money, and then they improve in their art while they're doing that. And I think the same thing. These boys are actually using their bodies. They're damaging their bodies. If I go to school for art or business, I'm not actually losing any of my potential, but they're out there, going for it. And I do believe that there needs to be some talk about that, especially from how many actually don't go pro after that. They're dangling the carrot. You could. They may have some notoriety off their name and their likeness at that point that may not exist after that 4 years is over.
Or you could get hurt. Ends. Yeah. You could get hurt, and you could at least say, you know what? I had a good run in college, got some money from it, whatever.
I mean, it's so many layers to this, because I mean, you have to think about back to the tax issue, right? So if I'm an athlete, I know I'm a big time athlete. Let's be real, not all athletes are going to make money off their likeness, right?
Right.
There's a couple of boys that's out there, or young men out there that just going to give you 2 points a game. He ain't going to make no money. We talking about the big time student athlete, right? So if I'm making a decision with my family that I can make some money on the side, will I go to a state that does not have state taxes? So when I go to play ball in Florida instead of picking at school in North Carolina or South Carolina or Georgia?
Well, yeah, that does give Tennessee, a Texas, and a Florida a real big advantage.
And so if Nike wants to sign me to a deal, but my school, where as a contract with Under Armour, is that a conflict of interest? Can I wear Nikes? I mean, how does that work? So there's a lot of layers. We next show, or maybe not next show, because we got a lot of other stuff to talk about besides the NCAA and how they get their money. We probably need to bring somebody in.
Yeah,
a coach or maybe an athlete, an agent.
I know some athletes that were let from Georgia Tech, let from schools because they sold something or they made some money off of something that that the NCAA didn't agree with. I think that's a big thing. Major, playmakers too. So that would be good to have some people in. I think bottom line though, what they're earning should be taxed. That's income tax. If I'm earning money off my likeness, that is taxed. But my scholarship should be off the board. And I think we need to talk about that because these are students. These are the beginning of their lives, and these are major movers and shakers in our community. And we do need to be invested in some sort of protection for that space for them.
Yeah, definitely. Most definitely.
Agree. But yeah, I think we should have some people who have been in that situation or experts on this field actually in here to go in a little bit more in depth. because, like you said, it's limited information out there when it comes to
But there's a lot of money. It ain't limited money out there.
No.
I've been to a couple of college football games at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, man. I'm telling you, man, there was so many people out there. They making some money.
It's amazing, man. I was at the UGA Notre Dame game. It's just, I mean, not just the game itself, just everything
The
around
culture,
it.
yeah.
And like the bars, like everyone is cashing in,
Yeah.
except for the people on the field. And that's amazing to see that everyone in that whole city is thriving over that weekend or that game, whatever, except for the people who are actually the entertainment.
Nowhere else in entertainment does
That
that
is
dynamic
wild.
exist.
But for so long they've said, well, you getting your education. That's your payment, your education.
So are all the people here who aren't bringing all these fans in.
Yeah.
They're getting their education too.
So it's a lot. It's a lot we got to dig in on that. But we'll come back. We'll come back to that, and maybe not next time.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, and I think this is a story that's going to continue to evolve too, because Richard Byrd's not going anywhere with this. He's standing very firm on this, and there are probably going to be some people who join the herd with him.
Yeah.
And talking.
So, Mike, there's 700,000 followers actively on the court in hip hop. I know. Just on 6 degrees of separation. Well, out of those 700,000, I'm pretty sure someone has some ideas about this topic. How can they chime in? Can they tweet us? Can they go to the Facebook page? Can they go to Instagram and let us know if they know an athlete, if they know a coach or an agent? They can give us some information about this. Because hell, I don't know. I didn't Google that.
Honestly, you know what? You can hit According to Hip Hop at info@accordingtohiphop.com. That's info@according2hiphop.com. And yeah.
Put subject line NCAA.
Yeah.
If you got some information.
Definitely.
We want to know what's going on for real.
Well, those football numbers too. If y'all
and
got some
football
numbers about those
and we want some
scholarships.
tickets. We got some tickets. I want some tickets, some jerseys. I want everything. Some chicken wings, some beer, tailgate, front row, all that.
And I mean, if we're talking about economics, we'll go into the next subject. Tyler Perry's studio in Atlanta has been a huge deal. I mean, this is a 330-acre piece of land purchased by Perry for $30 million in 2015, formerly Fort McPherson. And he poured like $250 million more into it to the expansion of this massive studio in Atlanta, and he made it a point to actually build it in the community.
Yes.
And be a part of the community, and we're hearing everything from Bad Boys 3 being filmed there, Coming to America 2. You got Miss Universe being filmed there. The Democratic Convention, the DNC, is going to be there. And it's like, are we seeing a resurgence of either black cinema, or is this just Atlanta just becoming more of Hollywood, just taking that reins of being the new Hollywood, basically? Like, what does this studio actually mean?
I think it's a bit of both. I think that we can't ignore the black faces. I'm rooting for everyone black that he's putting on and getting out there. They're not just sticking to black media, but they're getting their name and their start working with Tyler Perry and moving about. And I think it's also a testament to what Atlanta's becoming. It is becoming that new Hollywood, that new hub. Actually, at Georgia State, my daughter's a freshman there, and I was talking with other parents, and one woman moved from California to here because her son wants to be in film. It's a white woman, by the way.
That never happened.
So I'm moving to Atlanta because I want to be in film. I'm moving from California, which used to be the capital of where you go when you want to be in film. I thought that was amazing.
That is amazing.
And that's not the only one. So I think it's a bit of both. I am a bit confused about, we talked about it, I'm a bit confused about the wording that his studio is bigger than Disney. Was it Disney, Paramount, and Warner Brothers put together? And I'm still confused on what that exactly means. Is it just a square footage of the space in the studio, or bigger as in number of studios? I don't understand that.
From my understanding, it's square footage, right? But even on top of that, we're dealing with distribution. Okay. It seems like the studio is large enough where, like I said, they could do tours. And it's just adding another attraction to the city.
Yeah.
And you have other events that are being shot there.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like on a distribution end, I think all the decision making still kind of comes from LA and New York. But I don't know if having something like that here changes that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think his studio is just more evidence that Atlanta is continuing its trajectory of becoming a world class city. I mean, and it's also becoming another avenue for the entertainment industry from Hollywood to make their films here. I mean, you look at all the films here that have been shot here over the years. Hell, every time I watch a movie, I'm noticing something on Netflix, or I'm noticing a movie like Fast and the Furious. Oh, that's in Atlanta. That's on the South Side. Or that's downtown.
Yeah.
Or the Avengers.
And that's been going on for a minute.
Or Black Panther, the Hyde Museum. So it's been going on for a minute. So I think it's just more of a indication of what Atlanta is becoming. I know The Rock just purchased a $9 million home. Like 7
Powder Springs, right?
Yeah, like
hey, Dwayne.
7 minutes from my house. My wife told me about it, and I was like, well, how you know he moving across?
my mom texted me.
I was like, we can go, we can double date, right? So I think it's interesting because I looked at some of the pictures that were circulating from the premiere of the actual or the debut of the studio, where everyone was there, a who's who of people in the entertainment industry and politics and in business. I noticed that the governor was there, and he was there, and he, many people in Hollywood said that they were going to boycott the film industry, and I know Tyler Perry had made comments that he was not, because he invested so much into this project or into the structure, and that he employs so many people of color, he could not, take his investment and run.
Right.
And I've noticed that some of that talk has kind of died down.
Well, the Variety actually did a piece on that, and I think they were talking to him. It was like Perry is notably expanding his presence in Atlanta during the period of turmoil, as Hollywood reacts to the news of Georgia's abortion restricting heartbeat bill. With the loud disdain and many in the industry proposing boycotting production in the state if the bill passes. But the writer, director / producer staying quiet on the issue until recently, declaring that he would not up and leave, though he was personally against the proposed law. Sitting down with Variety at Tyler Perry's studio, Tyler Perry explains why he is steadfast on his decision to stay. He said, first of all, when you put $250 million in the ground in one place, you can't just go, okay, I'm out, Perry said. I still feel very strongly that the great thing about living in a democracy is every 4 years you have the opportunity to change things. So even if that hadn't been shot down by the court, I know that there's a lot of legal battles going back and forth. I'm still committed to making it work here, because 4 years, it'll be a different place. And you can't base your life on decisions based on temporary circumstances. You have to look at the long run, especially when you're in business in this situation.
In the long run, let's just be honest with one another. He's not leaving, even if the bill does come to pass. He's not going to be like, 4 years from now, I'm uprooting, moving to, where could he go?
But see, that's the thing. I think that those type of reactions are a reaction to cancel culture. And when you're in business, you can't just say, you know what, Georgia's canceled.
Right.
And
why specifically the film industry in relation to the bill that comes up? Why not medicine in Georgia? Why not tourism in Georgia? Right. Why not something else? Why specifically that? Is it because of the rise of the Tyler Perry Studios? I mean, that's the rise in film in Atlanta.
The banking industry we have UPS, we have so many companies, Delta. So every industry should pull out because they don't like a particular.
Like I said,
we're ahead of so many corporations.
That's the cancel culture mentality,
Coke,
and with him being a public figure,
Chick-fil-A ain't going nowhere.
People,
Coke ain't
with people in the entertainment industry being public figures, they expect them to react in that same way that people do on social media.
Yeah,
and that's what this is. And Tyler Perry's like, I'm not doing that.
And
I'm invested.
What's interesting with this debate that's going to happen on his property, what will these people say on stage? Will they posture and say, oh, we need a boycott? How can you be on the set or on the stage or on the facility that's supposed to employ so many black people on the South Side or in Georgia, and then say, well, if this bill is not overturned, then recommend boycotting the state? So
that brings up a whole nother conversation.
I want to answer that question if they asked them that. I'm interested in that.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, too. And I know this is probably a whole nother subject for another day. I mean, we need to update our boycott mentality and strategy because
Boycott
who's
protocol. What is that
right?
even?
Because who's really suffering? I mean, you
Right.
got these companies that are employing many black people, and you're trying to stand up for black people and taking away from the people who are employing.
Exactly.
And the black employees are going to be the first ones fired.
Exactly. Right. That's why I never got into boycotting Papa John's. They had an idiot that said some stupid stuff in the boardroom. I mean, so many boardrooms around America. We don't know who's saying what. I mean, I go to Walmart. They're probably saying some crazy stuff in Arkansas.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. People at Walmart may be nice. They may be sponsoring.
We have to go back to being hunter-gatherers if we're going to boycott every institution that had an element of racism or a racist person, in a position of power within it. So we have to be very careful about what the effect, that the solution that we're trying to get out of a situation, and playing chess to get that exact solution, not just boycott to show that we're mad at a situation.
And I knew when the call was to boycott Papa John's, I knew that the Papa John's around the corner from my house had a black manager, had black employees, and a boycott would affect them, it would affect their families, it would affect their day-to-day. So I wasn't interested in a boycott, just some idiot that's a millionaire said something stupid in the boardroom.
But I think where this comes from is the fact that, historically, the bus boycotts in Montgomery. And we have to understand that the boycotts in the civil rights movement were way different than the boycotts that were proposed.
It was unexpected. They didn't see it coming. They weren't prepared in advance.
And they were personal, and they directly impacted the people that were boycotting.
Exactly. Right. It directly impacted them financially because they had a bulk of their business were black people that were going to school, work, wherever, on the buses.
Right, and a bulk of the people making the money from the business were not black people.
Exactly. And so they were like, you know what? We're out.
Right.
Because it wasn't like it was black bus drivers out there that were going to be suffering from this. They was like, you know what? You're going to treat us like second-class citizens. We're not going to spend our money here. And there weren't any black people that were facing the repercussions of that because we were segregated.
Right, exactly. In relation to the boycott on the film industry in Georgia, you made a good point offline. You said that it seems more like something that was said, sort of a title coming from a title of let's boycott the film industry, but it wasn't so that the actual film industry people boycott. It was to try to get a certain type or a certain group of people to pick up that movement themselves and handle it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's cheap to film in Georgia. It's cheaper than other spaces. The city is more welcoming to shut down a couple streets and shut down a couple areas, to allow you to film on the streets there. The barriers to entry, you can literally ride up to Fort McPherson, walk in, and have an audition. You don't have to know somebody to know somebody to know somebody. The barriers to entry and the money to film in Georgia is so low that people aren't going to boycott what makes sense for them to do business-wise anyway, if you ask me.
And if you talk about the other studios in Hollywood, they're invested just like Tyler Perry is.
Right.
So all that talk about, they're going to pull out, no. They are invested years to come with Atlanta, filming their stuff in Atlanta, excuse me. And so, so he makes a great point.
Right.
Like, I'm not just going to up and go. I have like $250 million invested in this.
Right.
And let's just talk about the people that it impacts. So I went to Trusty Dusty Wikipedia, and this is according to the Georgia Department of Economic Development. There are more than 5,000 individual technicians and other workers in Georgia. The average number of local employees on a medium budget feature film is about 150 to 175. On a larger production, like something like Avengers or Black Panther 2, there'll be about 200 and 250 local employees. Average feature film budget is $41.7 million. And that 60 to 70% of that money is spent in the state. So, I mean, this is the money that we would lose when people just willy-nilly say, let's boycott, let's cancel, let's move. People aren't leaving, as Mike said. People aren't leaving. There's too much money here, and I don't think that brother Tyler Perry should leave either.
Well, I'm glad that he made this statement because I think it puts it in context for a lot of people who can't really see it like that. Because he's like one individual. I'm sure he has an array of partners and everything, but people look at Tyler Perry as Universal Pictures, like how Universal Pictures and Disney is a corporation. They look at this one individual.
Right.
But no, you know what I'm saying.
Some movies now, man.
No, I feel you. I ain't saying. I'm just saying, like, as a brand, they look at him as a production company. They don't look at him as Medea or an individual.
Which is
and
good.
So it is good. And so for him to say this, it's like, an individual speaking on behalf of a corporation to kind of throw it in context.
What's your favorite Tyler Perry movie?
Why Did I Get Married?
2 or 1? One was he
Yeah.
threw the water on Janet
They're
Jackson.
kind of like Halloween and Halloween 2. It's like they're kind of like
Yeah.
the
It's
same,
the
but
one
I like 1
He
better.
threw
I
the
think.
water on Janet Jackson or 1, or he threw the water on Janet Jackson? Malik Yoba. Which one did he throw the water?
Oh man, I
you know
forgot
what I'm
that
talking
was
about?
Malik Yoba. Another topic.
That brother was tripping. We should have knew something was wrong with that brother when he threw the water on Janet Jackson. That seems
That
like
was
too real.
terrible. I think that was 2. Actually.
I think that was like
because part 1 was the one where dude was really dogging out Jill Scott, and I feel like they put Jill Scott in a fat suit in there.
Yeah.
She was not that big.
Nah, she ain't that big.
Yeah,
but again, it's Hollywood. They had to represent.
That
you
was
know
my
what I mean?
favorite
like,
one too.
Yeah.
I'm
gonna say it was mine.
And that was the one where dude, what was his name? Michael. Terrible, but when he got at the dinner table and just started snitching on everybody.
That's terrible.
So yeah, that's probably my favorite time.
Now I'm gonna go home and watch the
What's your
movie
favorite one, Tanisha?
It's my favorite one too. I mean, I thought the production quality of the movie was better than some of the other ones, just like from a visual standpoint. And I just enjoyed it. The stars, the names that were in it. So.
I like the characters too, man.
Yeah.
I like Tasha.
Yeah.
She was wild.
Mm-hmm.
Black Dynamite was in it, my man.
Yeah.
Michael Jaleel White.
Tyler Perry movies are bad date movies. I think I took my wife to see, when we were just dating back in the day and just friends, I took her to see 2 Tyler Perry movies. Took her to see Daddy's Little Girls, and then we saw
I liked Daddy's Little Girls.
Temptation or something like with it. And I thought that was just, it wasn't a good date.
Yeah. I haven't seen Daddy's
They get you
Little Girl.
They start side-eyeing you. The women start side-eyeing you. So what you would do if it was you?
I was like, I don't recommend those movies. We need some more movies, though. The bottom line is, if he got something that's bigger than all these lots, we need to see some movies.
And that's what he's talking about vision in long run.
Right, right. Oh, quick question, since we're talking about why did I get married? Which one was it when his wife was cheating on him, Tyler Perry's wife, in there? She did like some shady stuff in like both of them.
She was working late night
at
her job, and he threw the phone at the wall and broke the phone.
Was that 1 or 2? Because 2 was like she aborted their baby or something. I don't know.
I feel like it was 1.
Yeah, she did a lot.
Well, maybe we need to get him on as a guest. Maybe he can give us his favorite films.
Yeah. Or
and maybe we can ask him, like, when is your Star Wars coming out? Like, your Star Wars, Tyler Perry.
Well, he tried to do that action movie, right? I don't know how well that went.
Alex Jones or something?
Was that what it was?
It wasn't Alex Jones. It was Alex something. Smith or something.
Yeah, write in the comment section what your favorite Tyler Perry film is.
Right.
I want to. Maybe he'll give us a tour because I want to see what he got going on.
We can go up there and schedule a tour.
Yeah, I know they're shooting Coming to America. Maybe we get some road. They'll give you a tour. Put on a dashiki.
All right. Well, another controversial figure. Kanye West just released his Jesus is King album a couple of weeks back. He's been doing like I don't want to say a weekly tour with the Sunday service rather, and it's kind of been getting us ready for this transformation of Kanye, and he's coining this album a gospel album, but it's getting mixed reviews. But what is actually getting the most traction, I've noticed, is his interview with Big Boy, where he kind of talked about everything. In this clip that we're about to play, that was on According to Hip Hop, got like 1 million something views, and you guys had a lot to say about it. He's talking about culture, talking about cancel culture, talking about everything from that to just he's all over the place with it. Let me go ahead and play it, and then we'll just break it down from there.
Break it down.
Do you care about any of that? I do. I care about everything.
Mm-hmm. Nah, this ain't it, huh?
I love Jesus Christ. I love Christianity.
Okay, let me get to the right part.
That's a...
Big Boy looks so disengaged in this interview.
Want to meet with me? For what I'm dealing with. Don't NBA players got like knees iced every time?
Oh my God! All right.
Guns in the 80s.
That's a lot of time.
He's focused so much on fucking somebody, bitch.
Oh, here we are, man. Yeah.
The level of sport I'm playing at.
All right, here we go.
What you talking about? People's trying to sun me left and right. Strategize. I've been canceled. Right. I've been canceled before they had cancel culture. I was canceled before they had the term. Do you care about any of that? I do. I care about everything. does it not rub you the wrong way, but does it get to your core when people do
definitely
feel like
don't rub me the right way? This definitely ain't gonna Johnny Gill
what
up in this.
what do you say to people that say you turned your back on the culture or
Exactly,
black
100%. I have turned my back on the idea of victimization mentality. We are locked up. We went from 1-4. We went from 1-4 to 1-3, but we always pointing at the white people, but yet we want to spend all of our money on foreigns. We want to spend all our money on luxury as opposed to going and buying some land. America is for sale, and there's a lot of barren land. Disney bought a lot of it in Florida, but the culture has you focused so much on fucking somebody bitch and pulling up in a foreign and rapping about things that could get you locked up and then saying you about prison reform. Like, it's, bro, we brainwashed out here, bro. Come on, man. This is a free man talking. Democrats had us voting Democrats for food stamps for years, bro. What is you talking about? Guns in the 80s, taking the fathers out the home, Plan B, lowering our votes, making us abort our children. God should not kill. I can't tell y'all how to feel, but what I can tell you honestly is how I feel.
Well, I mean, I think we can stop there. I mean, he kept going, but that's a lot to take in.
That sums it up.
He has points here and there, and you know, and let me put this in context too. In our post, a lot of people are agreeing with a lot of what he had to say, but again, there's a variety of things there to agree with, and so it's kind of like a mixed bag of I agree with that, I don't agree with that, I agree with that, and I don't agree with that. What do you? You got a lot to say about
definitely. So when I listen to Kanye talk anytime, really, it's a lot to take in. Like you said, it's a lot of different topics, and I feel like it's the game of confusion. A lot of the times when people skip over things, you lose what the actual point is. What are we talking about, first of all? I think with Kanye, I don't disagree with any singular thing he said. There's not really one. We're brainwashed out here. I agree with that. A lot of people are brainwashed. We're buying all this stuff instead of buying into our own neighborhoods, buying up our land. I agree. There's not a single statement individually that he says that I really disagree with. I think the way it's applied, similar to how somebody might commit a crime and then use a Bible verse to sort of to say this is why it was okay or this is why it's all good. I think that the way he applies it, like, it just doesn't fit for me. It just doesn't. It's not a match for something that I would follow. And on top of that, I think a lot of people have said everything that Kanye is saying anyway. But now that he sees the light, he's saying it like he's the the creator of it. Oh, this is what we out here doing. This is wrong. Now I see, and y'all out here doing this, and now no. People have been saying the same thing before you made the bad choices you made, and they'll continue to say it. So he's trying to be a pioneer of something that's, I mean, there's plenty of people out there saying the same message. That's what I'll say. So.
Right.
Oh, man, disclaimer, I'm a Kanye West fan. I've been a Kanye West fan since about 2002, 3. I remember riding my car back in the day and actually calling Mike and saying, man, who's this guy on the radio? I think he was on Greg Street Show.
Mm-hmm.
I used to talk to Talib Kweli, and he was talking crazy. He was talking that it's kind of like now. And he was in the background. It was really Talib Kweli's interview because no one really knew who Kanye West was at the time.
As an artist.
And he was talking about he was going to be the best rapper in the world. He had the best beats in the world. He was like, Talib Kweli is the greatest in the world. And he was just talking that talk. And then he came to Atlanta, and I saw a show at the, I think it was Earthlink Live at the time. And John Legend was like literally 2 people in front of me. And he went through a side door, and Kanye came out and said, John, come out. John played piano on stage or the keys that night in the show. So I've been following his career for a long time. And if you look at his earlier interviews, this Kanye that we have now is just an enhancement of what we had back then. He just has a little bit more money, has a larger platform. And so back to the point of what we just heard, again, to Tanisha, what Tanisha said, I agree with a lot of the things he said. You know, a lot of the stuff that he's saying, I've actually said in private conversations with y'all at some point within the last year or two. So none of that stuff that he's saying surprises me. What I think what he's reacting to really is the backlash that he's received. Because what Kanye is saying is that he's been saying, I think his point, his overarching point is that I've been the same person consistently since day one. Now that I'm saying something that
people disagree with,
or with the dominant, that black people or black men specifically shouldn't say, now I'm canceled and I wore a red hat or I met with the president, now I should be canceling. That, I think, is what he's really responding to, is the reaction of him wearing a red hat and the control that the community at large seems to have on different ideas or thoughts that stray away from the dominant.
Well, let's not be crazy, right? I mean, and I hate to use that word, but Kanye knew what he was doing when he wore the MAGA hat, and he knew the type of reaction and drawback he was going to get when he wore that.
Yeah, he expected it.
Yeah, he had to expect that. He can't really fall back and play victim.
But that's what he's calling out, though. He's
I don't agree with victimization, but I'm sitting here talking about I'm canceled. People are agreeing with pretty much every statement he makes when you look on there, just like you said. But I'm canceled. He's an oxymoron to me. You say one thing, but it just doesn't play out that way when you apply it to the situation.
Well, I think another thing that was kind of contradictory too, that a lot of people were pointing out in the comment section, was the fact that you were talking about materialism and you're talking about all these brands, but your $1 billion company is a fashion brand.
It's high couture, right?
And your stuff's not cheap. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's kind of a walking contradiction there.
But he's saying he's building his company, his factory, to create jobs.
Right.
So
that's fine. I mean, but it still plays into that mentality of brands.
He doesn't have a real estate company where he's selling land to black people. He doesn't have a grocery chain or a food supply company where he's selling, like all the needs that he's talking about that need to be bought up in America. So
like
I don't blame him for that.
Shoes,
get it how you live. I do agree with that. If that's where his niche is, but he still has strong feelings about, what people should be doing with the money once they earn it.
He wants to buy his stuff.
Right. Yeah. It's like the person,
black, right?
Like the person that's selling shoes telling me, you shouldn't buy shoes unless it's mine.
Right. Y'all out here buying shoes, but the weed man saying y'all out here buying weed. We're like, what? You're selling it. That's funny. I went to Kanye. The last concert I went to was, I want to say 2014 or 2015. He was in Atlanta at the I think it was the Georgia World Congress Center or somewhere in that area. Anyway, I felt demonic spirits coming out of the situation.
Which
Some
concert
of the seats
was
were
this?
empty. It was
You said 2014?
He brought a white Jesus on stage?
I left before it was over.
Really?
I walked out. I went there as a Kanye fan, and I walked out. Like, I'm not going to any more Kanye
Hold on. What year was this?
2014 or 2015.
I'll
find the tickets.
That was the that was the Jesus too.
And there was like a wolf. There was like all these. There was too much symbolism that just doesn't go along with I have a church in Calabasas. I'm sorry. And it was a while ago.
He said the devil
5
made him
years,
do it.
but.
Even in this interview, he was saying that he's different now than he was a year ago when he made the song with Lil Pump.
I don't feel the spirit of discernment coming off of anything that Kanye does or says. So you can say I've changed and you can say now I'm being led, but he's very angry, but his words say, oh, I don't care. Or, you know what I'm saying? Then another moment he's saying, I care about everything. Or, so I don't feel the spirit of discernment and stability coming off of him. And I don't have to have, somebody doesn't have to be perfect for me to believe in them or to but I don't feel it. I'm feeling a opposite magnet for believing or following or listening to anything.
You sound like you don't believe he's going to continue to make gospel albums. All right, how long does this Sunday service go on? How long does the Sunday service go on? Like, is he going to do this for like?
How long was Kirk Franklin hot? Maybe like 2 albums. So I think.
Don't do Kurt like that. Kurt hot right now. What are you talking about?
I mean, back in the day, Kurt was hot.
I think producer-wise, he has the ability to make music and help direct other people in the field that have a message and want to get it out. I'd be more willing to see something like that from Kanye. Right now, everything he says is just as confusing and controversial and divisive, I think, in certain ways. And this is the thing about people. When you lead people, there's a message in their heart that they want to advocate for. You don't come out and start beating them overhead about what the message should be and then say, I'm the leader. And I kind of get that position from Kanye. There's when a leader emerges, they're saying something that you're like, yes, say it and say it louder and say it on this platform. That's what I want. And Kanye's not doing that for me. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Have y'all heard the album?
Nope.
Yeah, I heard
I
the
want to hear
album.
it.
I mean, it's
What do you
okay.
think about that?
It's okay. I mean, I haven't really liked many of his recent stuff. I think his last great album I liked was The Life of Pablo, and I thought that was an okay album.
I
But
like a couple things on Pablo, and the middle section is kind of, and then it ends strong. It starts strong, in the middle sections whatever, and it ends strong.
yeah, I mean, My Twisted Dark Fantasy was the last really great Kanye album.
Man, about 10 years ago, bro.
Yeah, The Throne was good. But like I said, I gotta put a disclaimer. I like Kanye. A lot of this crazy stuff he says, I've said. My wife gets mad at me for saying it. I've been saying it for the last 3 or 4 years and family dinners and stuff like that.
I think delivery is a thing about Kanye too. His delivery. I mean, even with the whole slavery is a choice thing, right?
Yeah.
That was about delivery
Yeah.
more so than anything. Because I think a lot of people, if it were broken down in a way, could understand where a person is coming from with that. I mean, you always have a choice. You can live or die, right?
It's like Harry made a choice. Harry made a choice,
and I'm gonna get out of here. But the way Kanye said it, and then even the snicker afterwards.
But I knew what he meant, though. I knew what he meant.
You're a fan, but I'm saying most people who already.
Even if I wasn't a fan, I knew what he meant.
I agree. I mean, you're a little bit more balanced in that way, but there's a lot of people.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
He meant that that it was a choice. Like you have a choice to either be, even though you're in a physical state of being enslaved, you have a choice to have to be mentally enslaved as well. That's what I thought.
I mean, I agree. Victim mentality is the same thing that he was saying. Victim mentality means I can't because it's going to be hard, or I can't because I might die, or because I might fail. And he was saying that the slaves outnumbered slave masters. So at any point, they should have been able to get out of their oppression, wake up, come together. But that required a togetherness, not necessarily an individual move. A lot of them did individually run away. Those are the pictures you see of people hanging and swinging and shot, and the names that you never hear, the unmarked graves. We're all, if you're a descendant of a slave, a descendant of somebody who lived from that victim mentality. You're not a descendant of the person who, you know what I'm saying, led the revolution. They died. They didn't have they couldn't be hinged to kids and wives and things like that. Those people were murdered. So just to get back at the people who did revolt. So I see what he was saying, but again, like you said, delivery. If you're going to deliver information, don't try to deliver it metaphorically and artistically in some interview where you're all angry.
It's shock and awe on TMZ. And that's the shock and awe of it all. It's like you didn't go on a platform that may have given you more of a range of understanding.
Yes.
To say this. You got on TMZ and said the most shocking awe thing that you could say.
Yeah.
And this is the reaction of it. Yeah. This is really like a Taylor Swift on MTV 2.0. Like you went up there and did that to Taylor Swift.
But they cut the
MTV.
interview though. No, they cut the interview.
Of course
they chopped
did.
The TMZ interview.
Of course
it was more of a conversation. They did ask him a follow-up question. So what do you mean by that? And I think he did elaborate. But what went viral, what everyone picked up, what got him canceled was the slavery is a choice.
Is that what got him canceled? Because I thought it was the MAGA hat, and I thought it was him, kind of in the Oval Office looking like he was
zombified, like
kissing up to Trump with the MAGA hat on.
It looked like it the way it was chopped up on the media. I wasn't there to know the background, but it didn't look great.
Like I said, we'll talk about the MAGA hat on another show.
But I'm just saying, he's talking about cancel culture, and I guess we need to get back to like, why are people saying Kanye's canceled? I think that's what it is. I don't think it's the slavery I think the slavery is a choice kind of pushed that forward. I think he might have been canceled.
Well, let's take a vote now, and we'll decide here and now on our first show if Kanye West is canceled. So ladies first, Tanisha, is Kanye West canceled?
You would start with me. It depends on where Kanye goes. For now, I'm not listening to or tuning into or subscribing to any philosophies that come out of Kanye. So he's canceled for me.
He's canceled. We have one cancellation. Mike D, is Kanye West canceled?
No, not for me. I think that to cancel someone, it has to be something along the lines of, just deviant activity. I don't think anything that Kanye is doing, I don't think he means malice behind it, because he continues to try to lead with love, right? So it's not like I'm torn in the fact that, because I'm not in the dude's brain. I think a lot of this is to get publicity, and it gets publicity. It gets conversation. We're talking about it now. But I don't think that it's coming from an evil place. I'll put it that way. But I do think it is coming from an attention-grabbing place. And I don't think you get canceled for that. I think you get canceled.
Button, like, psh,
I think you
reset.
get canceled for evil activity. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's where I'm at with it. And honestly, like you said, his music really ain't been hot like that. So it's not like I'm torn because I gotta bump, the new Kanye, and I don't want people looking at me crazy because I'm bumping it. But I still think he has a lot of things to
cancel would mean
offer.
that I wouldn't play his old stuff that I like? Is that what cancel means?
Cancel. I don't know what cancel means.
Oh, well, shit.
Cancel.
Maybe we should start with that.
Well, yeah, I guess you got to start right there.
Cancel is so vague. I don't know what cancel. Because they're supposed to say they cancel Kanye. Still going to go to his shows. They still going to the Sunday service. They still listen to music.
The Sunday service is breaking records.
Right now.
Yeah. And Daytona was incredible. He produced the whole Daytona Pusha T album last year. So I mean, it's where do you stand on it?
You know where I stand.
I know you're not canceling Kanye.
West. I'm gonna subscribe to Kanye West. Everything he got going on, I think he could be my homie. You know what I'm saying? So I can't cancel my friend.
Well, hold on. You gotta elaborate on that.
I think some of the things he says, his taste in certain things, fashion and some of the stuff he says in his lyrics, I think we can be cool. You know what I'm saying? We kind of see the world, I think it's kind of similar. So
y'all can wear matching MAGA hats.
Yeah, I might have.
Well, if y'all saw the world so similar, why do you think he did the MAGA hat, and why? And do you think it was a good idea, or
he wanted to start a conversation?
Really?
What conversation is that?
He wanted to start a conversation about our community's dependency to one party, and also bring a light that people say that the president is a certain type of way. On the other side, there are people that just have done more nefarious things that may not be as open about it than the current president has done. So I think he wanted to have a conversation, and that hat was a spark dialogue and make us have a conversation. Maybe it backfired, maybe it didn't, but we talking about it now. So
yeah, we are.
I ain't canceling Kanye. I'm subscribing to his stuff. I hope he makes better music, and maybe when he comes back to Atlanta, he does another show.
Right. I look at anything out of a curiosity standpoint. So me going to a show or me subscribing or watching or listening to an album, for me, is to know. So people always have a chance. And right before I said he was canceled, like I said, it depends on where someone goes. I believe in actions of a person and not subscribing to a person. Same for any pastor, same for any musician. What you're doing right now. I used to think I was Beyonce, for example, and she got into an era where and nobody ever talked about canceling Beyonce, but some of her choices I didn't agree with. I stopped listening. I can't recite her songs. I don't know what's on the album. And then there's another point where she'll make some show or some movie that I support. So personally, the same type of individuality that Kanye preaches about, which is I have a choice to choose this right now and not choose it later. That's how I'm choosing on Kanye. Right now, I don't choose Kanye.
So
if he came with something real hot, does that change anything, or you just
hot? If I rock with it, I'll rock with it. Put it that way. You know what I'm saying? Hot meaning is it just a cover up for this crap he's going through right now? I don't know.
So according to Hip Hop Has Spoken, the first podcast we've officially proclaimed he is not canceled.
Well, what do you people have to say?
Yeah, what do y'all say?
And what is the last Kanye West hit? What's the last Kanye West song you like?
And what does cancel mean to me?
Let's do that. I want to talk about cancel culture.
All right, we'll do that next week. Yeah. We'll actually kind of define what artist being canceled means. Because honestly,
Can
man,
people cancel people? Like if somebody don't respond to your text message?
Yeah, you can block them. That's what it is.
Cancel. Okay.
Yeah, it is what it is.
I like everything on his first 2 albums. And
I think the catalyst for cancel culture when it comes to music, I think the catalyst for cancel culture or cancellations or defining it rather is R. Kelly. He has everyone conflicted whether they want to support this man or not. I mean, people who feel like
we don't want to talk about R. Kelly on our first show.
We're not talking about R. Kelly. We're talking about the conflict that people are having. Do we not listen to anything he's ever done, or do we?
Because he has he has decades of music, right, and he has such a versatile catalog of music. It's like your parents will listen to it, younger people listening to it, people play it at their weddings, and he's the guy where it's like, and Michael Jackson would have been one of those too, if he was guilty of whatever. That's a whole nother subject. But yeah, people are conflicted when it comes to R. Kelly, and like you said, does that mean I can't listen to his earlier stuff? But yeah, that's a whole nother
Yeah,
subject.
And it goes back to your earlier point, Tanisha. If we did an inventory of every moral fiber of all artists that produce music or content,
everything could
we
be
wouldn't
canceled.
listen to anything. We wouldn't watch anything. We look at a blank wall.
No, I think he meets an extra criteria. If we talk about it, I'll say I think he meets an extra criteria, not just well, everybody has this. I think there's certain things that throw people over the threshold. We've all done some sort of crime, whether it's speeding, breaking the law, or whatever. You probably have a traffic ticket. There's a law. But when someone's like, shoving kids in boxes and, shipping them in from China, that's a little bit more than everybody's broken the law. So, for example, I think that if we get into it, we can't just be mad about a drop of this or a drop of that here and there. But if somebody's like literally, turned on a whole waterfall tap into something, you got to look at that. So, I don't know.
Cool.
Well, Popeyes is, I know it's not a great segue, but
are you buying today?
Sandwich is back. And I keep getting texts that, the line is like wrapped around.
Ridiculous.
And it's
ridiculous.
I'm probably not going to get a sandwich.
Chick-fil-A. I'm team Chick-fil-A.
I love Chick-fil-A.
I'm team Chick-fil-A. And actually, you know what? Little kept secret is the Popeyes in my hood, they already been had the sandwiches.
Hey, man, don't snitch on them.
Okay, he told me not to say nothing, but if he's listening right now, homie,
But this is the thing.
I got him now, so I can say
tell him
something.
to tuck us up one for closing, and we'll come get him when the line is gone. That's what.
Now, I think this is part of a discussion here. I think social media not only blew up Popeye's sandwich, but I think Popeyes is listening to the feedback that they're getting from people, because I think their ad was like, what did it say? It said, "We're officially back. We're overstocked," or something like that. Let me pull it up. They tweeted that they have plenty in stock. And that's been the whole joke about Popeyes, that they have terrible customer service.
Yeah.
And they're always out of stuff. And the whole surgence of this sandwich is kind of, well, they're saying they're going to improve that part, but we'll see.
But you know what, though? I don't know if Chick-fil-A is shook or not, but the first time out of the history I've been to Chick-fil-A, and I've been to Chick-fil-A maybe at least 100 times a year.
Yeah.
They was slipping on me on Friday. They didn't have my order ready. They told me to pull over to the cart. And then when they gave me my food, they didn't have my Chick-fil-A sauce, all my Polynesian sauce.
Dang, they got knocked in the head and they wobbling now.
And just because of that,
okay.
I think Popeyes got them shook.
This is what it is. Yeah. All right, Popeyes tweeted out a video with like a whole bunch of Popeyes trucks, like riding through the city, like big trucks with Popeyes on it, and said, "This is not a drill. ... We're fully stocked."
Their marketing team is pretty awesome.
It's so dramatic.
We're fully stocked. And what does that mean in Popeye's terms?
We need to find out we need to figure out who the PR, the marketing,
right. We're fully
whoever's
stocked.
doing social media for them.
We need to get them on.
Yeah. I want to know from the people, which one is your favorite, and is the extra hassle of a line wrapped around the building without the little, hey, you got the little mini servers outside at Chick-fil-A taking your order on an iPad.
Yeah.
I want to know, which one is your favorite, and if Popeyes is your favorite, is it really worth to you the extra long wait and the comedy show you get at the customer service window?
I mean, listen, I tried 3 times to get the sandwich. First time it was before it got really, really crazy.
Yeah.
And got in the drive-thru. I'm not going to say which location it was, but they said they were out of buns. I thought that was weird.
Put
I was
them
like,
on blast,
all right,
man.
well,
say the location.
Nah, I ain't going to do that.
Blast,
and so they just gave me, she told me she was going to give me just the breast. And the sandwich breast, right?
So you had to go to Kroger and get your own bun?
Well, yeah. Or I was like, I got buns at the crib, whatever. And the piece of chicken that I got was not the chicken that I see here on that sandwich.
What?
So that wasn't it, right? So that was
chicken?
time number 1. I think it looked like chicken tenders or something.
They
like
ran out because they weren't fully stocked and they tried to make you happy. Okay.
All right. And then I went to another one, and this is when the madness hit. And so I'm talking about the line. The drive-through line was like on the interstate almost, you know what I'm saying? And then I tried to go inside. It was wrapped around, and I was like, you know what? This isn't worth it. So I went to another one. It wasn't really a line like that, but it was still a line. Got to the front of the line. Dude was like, "We don't have any chicken sandwiches. What else can I get you?" And I was like, you know what? This isn't worth it.
Well,
so I haven't had it yet. Have any of y'all had the sandwich?
I've had it. Like I said, my homie, the one in my neighborhood, I'm going to go again and say which one it is.
Shoot, I'm going to go.
South Cobb Drive. He had it for weeks. and told me not to tell nobody. But
So
now
telling
that
everybody.
he got him now, then I mean I can go ahead and say it. But it was okay. It was just
It was okay. I had a bite of my best friends. I'm a lazy person. I will not wait in line. I've actually worked both at Popeyes and Chick-fil-A in my teenage years, by the way. But yeah, I will not wait in the line.
Hold on.
Yes.
You have a unique
Yes.
experience.
Yes,
So,
I do. I worked at
as an employee of both establishments,
uh-huh.
without throwing one establishment under the bus, what would you say is the biggest difference?
Customer service. The same thing everybody
But where
says.
does that come from? Does that come from management?
It's a good business plan. If it's not your business plan to have good customer service when you open a business, but to serve numbers, that's what you're going to do. And if it's your plan from the beginning, this is what we want to have. That's what. In Chick-fil-A, when you first walk in the door, they're not asking you about can you cook, can you anything. They want to see can you smile and can you, you know what I'm saying?
I was going to say,
people?
so what's the interviewing process like between the two?
So I worked at the Chick-fil-A here at the mall. It was Cumberland Mall.
Okay.
Different management at the time, but it's still there. And the interview process, I knew a person who worked there, so that helped. I got, through the application process to interview. And they're just asking you, like, how do you handle pressure? They want to see if you smile the whole time. So basically, like, if you have a bubbly personality. I was a cheerleader, remember, in high school. So, all that helped. And they pick people with the personality to serve and to like people. But they teach you right off the bat, look, we're not here to get an attitude about anything. We're here to serve people and make them happy. That's what we're here to do. It's not, and then get the orders done fast. That would be number 2. So yeah, they focus on that. I don't know. When I came to Popeyes, it was like, this is how the register works. This is how this works. This is how that works. I don't know. I worked at the Popeyes near UGA in Athens.
Okay.
And, the process was like, look, this is how you get things done. There was no conversation about how a customer should be treated. There was like, here's how to, move widgets. And that was it. So.
Did you enjoy one place more than the other?
Because I enjoyed Chick-fil-A. It was fun.
Exactly.
It was a lighter. Yeah, absolutely. I like some of the dishes that were at Popeye, so I would eat them again. Like I would go back to eat those things. But I prefer the food that they're serving there, Chick-fil-A, and just the environment. Like environment is everything in any business.
When I went to Chick-fil-A the other day, man, it wasn't anything over the top. But I felt like, you know what? These people enjoy being here.
You feel like you're in a cleaner place, in a brighter place, in a place where,
when I'm in Popeyes, I just feel like I'm hassling them.
We ain't got no more.
I feel
What you say?
Terrible.
But I do feel like them actually launching this on a Sunday when Chick-fil-A's closed, I think is genius.
Yeah.
Their marketing department has stepped it all the way up. Hopefully, this onslaught of social media mass helps them get that customer service part up.
Yeah. I hope Popeyes grows from this. I think it's great for anybody to rival Chick-fil-A's chicken sandwich. They've had a long run uncontested, and I'm glad to see that there's someone else with their line wrapped around the building for these sandwiches.
I'm going to attempt to try it today. I'm going to try it.
Hey, let us know next time. Let us know how it is.
All right. Well, before we close out, man, we lost a legend this week. And,
big time.
And John Witherspoon, actually one of my,
Pops.
I just love seeing him in films. He's one of those guys that's like, if he's on a show or on a film, I want to see it. You know what I mean?
Bang, bang. He bangs it out every time, right?
And even the stuff that he did on Boondocks and, and Black Jesus. I'm a big fan of that
Friday.
show, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Friday's a big one. He was even on What's Happening back in the day.
Man.
What?
Yeah.
Hollywood
he played
Shuffle.
the DJ.
I was like, I need to go back and catch that.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So he's been in a lot of films, and he was currently on tour as well. So he has some shows lined up this week. So he was constantly working. I think the last film he was in, I know Master P was saying that I Got the Hookup Too, might have been the last film that he was in. But he was constantly working, and I do remember watching an interview with him, and they asked him the longevity, how does he do it? And he was saying, basically, he stays in character, and people, when they come to see his shows, his stand-up, they want to see that Pops character,
Bang, bang.
And he gives it to them, and he gives the people what they want. And, yeah, I don't know. I was so close to the character that he had on Wayans Brothers.
Yeah.
When I heard the news, I immediately thought of, Sean and Marlon, that was their real Pops.
Yeah.
Because they had some chemistry on that show.
They did.
You could tell those people on that show really liked each other. And, that's probably my favorite. I know it's a TV series, but that's probably my favorite John Witherspoon moment. And I think that the Soul Plane moment is underrated.
We were talking about how many of his roles, how much of his comedy was surrounded by food, like the Winky Dinky Donuts, the scene in Soul Plane with the potato. On Friday, he started off talking about ham hocks and who ate, like he ate, like it's so much different stuff going on with him. But I definitely had a feeling about seeing his name come across the headlines as having passed away. It was a moment for me. I'm not a deep griever, but I was like, man, it was unexpected. And just have much respect, like you said, for his longevity and his consistency in keeping us happy and laughing throughout everything he's done, really.
He's played an old man all our lives, so it's like, it's...
Because everybody's Pops.
So he lived a full life.
It felt like he would never age. Like, that day should have never come. Just stay as Pops right there,
Yeah, that was a major loss. What about you, Ryan, man? What's your favorite John Witherspoon character or moment?
I mean, Pops. I like Pops from the Wayans Brothers. I mean, I like Pops, the Soul Plane. I forgot he was on. And I've actually said that line before. I was like, I'm going to have some fun up on this plane. And I don't know why I would say it, but now I remember that. I remember I took it from him. And then, on Friday, when he talked, his character is the father in the first one, talking to Craig about, you win some, you lose some, but you live to fight another day. Tell him to put the gun away. I thought that was good. So he's definitely gonna be missed, and we're gonna leave you guys with that scene, and then
No, let's do one of his stand-ups where he was talking about he was at the civil rights movement.
Let's do that.
Yeah, a lighter. Well, yeah. Well, before we head out, check us out every week. Daily Thread Podcast. Myself, Tanisha, Prime.
Hit us on the Facebook page.
Yes, and we definitely also hit us and let us know what other topics that you would like to be, like for us to discuss. And we'll leave you with John Witherspoon.
Bang bang.
I was back in the civil rights movement with Martin Luther King. Yeah, I'm that old. I'm back there. Sure did. Fought for the rights of all men. We had the Vietnam War then. Yeah, that war then. Plus we had the civil rights movement at the same time. You talking about somebody protesting every day. I was out there every fucking day. I got hit in the head with a billy stick. The soldier knocked the shit out of me. Now, let me tell you something about being hit in the head with a billy stick. When the National Guard tell your ass to move, get the fuck on. That soldier knocked the shit out of me. Everybody else trying to be like Martin Luther King, turn the other cheek. We had a picket sign. They all trying to be docile, singing the freedom song real soft. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. But I was loud. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. Bring the boys home from Vietnam and give us our civil rights, you motherfucker. So the sergeant walked up to us. He said, look, you guys get off the corner. Move. Everyone get off the corner. I stood in this space. I said, let me tell you something, sir. We represent Martin Luther King. And Martin wouldn't leave. And I'm not going to leave there. We're not going to leave either. Not till those boys come from Vietnam. And you give us our civil rights. I looked around, everybody else was gone. So three of his boys came up behind him and they said, you ain't gonna leave, huh? I done talked too much shit to leave now. Can we settle this peacefully? So he put his hand and shake my hand. Oh, you understand? I reached for the hand was gone. I looked up. The butt of a billy stick coming at my fucking head. Now that's what you look like when you're about to get hit in the head with a billy stick. Look at this shit. That's motherfucker. Now let me tell you what happens immediately after you get hit in the head with a billy stick. First of all, you don't give a fuck about Vietnam. You don't have your civil rights. Kiss my black ass. And stop singing that damn song. That sign went flying. And I started oscillating back and forth now. I know he told me to go somewhere, but I forgot where. So I started pointing. Which way to go? I'm ready to go that way, this way. Tell me where to go, that way. Tell me where to go, I'm ready to go.
motherfucker knocked the shit out of me. A knot on my head looked like a big booty stone top of my fucking head.